welcome to TC Sports. My name is Jacob Butzine alongside Aaron Klinker, Andrew Schultz, and the Big Phil Fathman. Boys, you know what Saturday it is. The third Saturday in October. That means we get Tennessee, Alabama in Tuscaloosa. We get the Ohio State Buckeyes against the Penn State University. We get Utah USC. We have so much happening this weekend. I could talk about all of the other games that are happening, but here we are. We have Toledo versus Miami of Ohio. I'm torn on this game because I attended both schools. Who do I root for? We will find out on Saturday. I'll take a picture with who I'm rooting for. We'll keep that up for people's imagination. Boys, how we doing?
Not too bad, not too bad.
How about that Detroit football team?
Second best team in the NFL.
How about that Green Bay football team?
Wait, who's the first best team then?
Miami.
Yeah, that's fair.
High-powered offense. Really above average defense.
I haven't really seen anybody really slow them down. I mean, Buffalo did, but
We'll see after this weekend.
What's this weekend?
They're against Philadelphia on Sunday night.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be insane. So great week of football happening. Let's get right to it. So we are going to show you the third weekly, not annual. I made that mistake last time. The third weekly, week 8 top 25 for TC Sports Podcast. Here,
He's learning.
Go. I'm learning. Okay,
Let's just get a round of applause right now. Someone get that sound.
Listen, buddy. Those are fighting words. I want this one. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Our top 25. We have. Oh, I need to make it smaller so that everyone can see it. Okay, here is our top 25. So our other receiving votes were James Madison and Fresno State. And then 25 to number 1, we have Air Force, LSU, Tulane, Mizzou, and Iowa all coming into our top 25 this week. We are starting to see some separation here in college football. As you see there, Washington moved up 1 spot in our rankings after defeating Oregon in a great matchup. Our biggest fallers are UCLA, USC, and Louisville after heartbreaking losses. And then we had some stay the same. Boys, what is your biggest surprise looking at how our rankings matched up? We'll start with Andrew.
Biggest surprise. I mean, I'm not really surprised by any, to be honest.
So are you implying that our top 25 is the best?
I mean, I don't know. You got Air Force in there. I wouldn't consider them a 25. I think there's a lot of schools that would beat them that are unranked, but I mean, Michigan is unanimous. That is surprising since Phil hates us. So that does surprise me a bit. Georgia staying at 2 does surprise me because they did not look good against Vandy at all, and Vandy is bottom of the barrel. So that surprises me a little bit, but not much outside of that.
I will say something that is not necessarily I'll say surprising, but like not. North Carolina really jumped up in our rankings as we get going. UNC looks really good. Drake May is looking pretty well. That team's looking pretty solid. I'm excited to see where they go the rest of the season. I mean, looking at 6 and 7. I mean, 6 and 7 play each other this week. So again, as we get going through October and November, you're going to see a lot of separation. If you look at 6, 7, and 1, those 3 have to play each other. in some form or fashion. Michigan plays Penn State, Ohio State plays Penn State, Ohio State plays Michigan. All those things. So start to see some separation there. Aaron, what looks like a surprise to you?
I would say Iowa, but here's why. Because of how bad their offense has been this year, and yet they're 5-1. I know it's Big Ten West, and that division tends to be very weak. But I'm honestly shocked Iowa doesn't have like 2 or 3 losses. Like, I have not watched that much Iowa this year, so.
I think with Iowa is like they're a team where they won't beat you scoring 30, 20, 30, 40 points.
Mhm.
And their defense does not care to be on the field. Like, that's why Iowa's defenses, I think, are always well, because they're on the field 25, not
I'd say
25.
more than that, like 50% maybe.
Like,
If that.
yeah, like they're like 75% on the
Mhm.
field. So
Mhm.
they just have a good defense and I guess a somewhat competent offense to at least get some points, but apparently their defense needs to score according to their quarterback who's injured. So all right, Phil, what is a big surprise for you this week?
That Alabama's still ranked as high as they are.
Yeah.
They just
I mean,
don't look that good this year. So
almost lost to a really, really bad Arkansas team this past weekend. Andrew and I got to see that score throughout the Michigan game. We got to be in Ann Arbor for the greatest environment ever, and we got to watch the beatdown of the Hoosiers. I don't even know what a Hoosier is, but they got beat down very, very badly. Great game to be at. I mean, Andrew was Andrew was soaking wet. I was soaking wet. It was pouring down. Well, it wasn't really raining until like the fourth quarter, and then God decided, all right, we've had enough. You've had enough. Go home. You don't need to keep watching this massacre that's happening. But Notre Dame USC was a great. Well, I wouldn't say it was a great game, but it was great to see USC finally lose and be shown where they should be, and that's not in the college football playoff. Starting to prove that Notre Dame's win over or loss to Ohio State isn't, or Ohio State's win over Notre Dame is not that great, but because Notre Dame still has 2 losses. Texas still going down. I mean, they haven't played, so it's hard to put them down when they haven't playing. But a lot of people entering our top 25 this week. That in my opinion, so far one of the top games of the year. That and Red River Rivalry are going to compete for Game of the Year. I think so far. I mean, that Washington Oregon game was really, really solid to watch, and Oregon State climbing up our rankings, just everyone's sleeping on Oregon State as we keep going. Oregon State kind of controls their own destiny. You win the Pac-12. Might be having a conversation about Oregon State. I mean, does anyone disagree with that?
No.
No, not really.
Good. All right.
I did figure out what a Hoosier was.
What's a Hoosier?
It's just what you call the people that live in Indiana, because I don't know what else you would call them, like an Indianian or something. Like that's just the
Indians.
name.
Well, they know
That's just what
they
they
know
call
who's
them.
your daddy, and that's Michigan apparently. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, no, you're not wrong. I guess you can't call them Indians. That's not.
And
correct.
we're canceled.
Okay. Let's take a look at this week's matchups. We have Michigan State, and apparently the greatest rivalry in college football. Someone said that. I don't know.
What?
Michigan State might lose by more than 24 points.
They will.
Andrew, these tickets were $250 before the season. Look how badly no one wants to go to that game.
I kind of do, just to see how bad it's going to be for Michigan State. Not going to lie.
No, Clink, just save your eyes. Just don't.
I've also never been to
Save your eyes.
MSU, and that's I need to check out another stadium here at some point.
It's
Go
actually
to
listed as-
Indiana before you go to MSU.
How's their stadium?
It's actually listed as
Go to literally any other stadium in the Big Ten besides MSU.
literally.
It's garbage.
Is it that bad, or are you just saying that because you're Michigan fans? Like,
No, like even Michigan State fans say it's bad.
okay. Anyways, continue, Butson.
We got the matchup of the week: Penn State at the Ohio State University. Ohio State favored by 4.5. We have Washington going to Oregon State, or not Oregon State, going to Oregon. Oregon favored by 20 points. Tennessee, Alabama. Bama favored by 9. That's really surprising to me. Also, this over-under is kind of surprising to me as well. South Carolina heading to Missouri. Man, South Carolina. Oof. That's rough. A barn burner here in Iowa City in Kinnick Stadium. Iowa,
Watch out
Minnesota.
for Minnesota to upset Iowa this week.
I could see that. I actually like Minnesota's quarterback. I really do. He just decided to throw a pick on his first pass against Michigan.
Watch out for Houston playing Texas too. Texas plays down to their competition again. Could get interesting.
Now look at this over-under. Are you guys taking the over or the under?
For what? Iowa, Minnesota?
31.5 under.
1,000. I could see maybe
Big
24 and a half.
It might be 12-9.
Big Ten West football.
Yeah, I'd take the under on that every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Andrew, tell me what you always say.
You can run and you can hide, but Big Ten West football will always find you. Just like it found Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears this weekend.
Yeah, ruining my parlay. Thanks, Minnesota. I just needed 3 touchdowns from you. And how many did you get?
You think
1.
we can do anything
2.
right?
I think that.
Jacob, they had like 4 field goals.
I know. I should have changed it to field goals and not touchdowns.
Yeah, I never bet on my team, so
I like this game. Ole Miss Auburn. I like this game.
Why do you like it?
Because Ole Miss looking good this year, and I think Auburn could definitely upset Ole Miss this weekend. I think not that I think it's gonna be like a shootout.
Watch out for Army in Death Valley.
Really? You think?
Hey, if Army controls the time of possession, they might only lose by 25.
And then cover. Duke, Florida State, I think might be a blowout in favor of Florida State, but I think it could be an interesting matchup. Utah, USC, I think Utah's going to blow them out of the water. And then we got some late night Pac-12 games.
Pac-12 after dark.
Pac-12 after dark. Sorry, these times that you're seeing are Central Time, not Eastern Time.
I mean, the incorrect time.
Interesting matchups this week. Okay. Week 6 of the NFL. We had Thursday night coming in with the Chiefs and Broncos with a big barn burner. We had the Patriots drop their 5th game of the year. Bengals, Seahawks. Bengals defense shut them down. We had a Big Ten West football in Lions and Buccaneers. With Goff throwing for 353 yards.
That's not Big Ten West football, Jacob.
Well, the score is.
No, it was just very defensive, but it was definitely not Big Ten West football. You weren't on a plane to DC. It was definitely not Big Ten West football.
I was indeed. I left when it was, I think, 3-0, and then landed in DC and was like, "Oh, we won 20-6."
It was just a very defensive battle. Both offenses were actually clicking pretty well, but came down to third downs on every drive, and the Lions, I think, forced the Buccaneers to only go 2 for 11 on third down, which was pretty nuts.
Excuse me. Ravens, Titans, in England. Kind of an interesting game there. Commanders, Falcons. Sam Howell threw 3 touchdown passes against a interesting win against the Falcons. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say here. It was
a football game.
It was.
I have something to say. All the
Go
Bears
ahead.
fans were crying like, "Oh, if Justin Fields was healthy, we would have won." No, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have. I'm sorry. Fields threw an interception before he got hurt. You would not have won.
Amen.
Anyways,
Amen. The Browns stun the San Francisco 49ers as Jake Moody misses a game-winning field goal. And the Browns beat one of the best teams in the NFL. Dolphins rally past the Panthers. It was not even close. Colts tried to make it a game late. Gardner Minshew throwing 3 interceptions. Jaguars coming up on top. Texans in this barn burner of a game, 20-13 against the Saints. Man, that game was awful. Rams, Cooper Kupp back again for another week, winning 26-9 in Los Angeles. Jets picking off the Philadelphia Eagles 20-14 after Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions and hurt Andrew's chances of winning this week in fantasy because
him and Gardner Minshew.
6 picks, 12 points. And Andrew loses. And then the Sunday night football game of Bills and Giants. I do not.
Now that's a Big Ten West football game.
That was
get it off the screen.
Big Ten West football. I'm so sorry. Yes, that was. And then a pretty good game of Cowboys and Chargers.
Justin Herbert choking.
Social media quarterback.
It was not on the coaches.
I will say, though, at that Giants game, I will say they looked a lot better without Daniel Jones there.
Look at all those touchdowns they scored without him.
I'm sorry, Phil.
Yeah, really it's not.
I know it's not saying much, but at least they have a chance of not being absolutely blew out every day.
I knew what you meant, but look, they had to give it to Barkley 24 times. No wonder he's hurt every season because they give it to him 30 times a game, or 25 to 30 times a game, and then here you are. That was week 6. Week 7, we got Jags Saints on Thursday, and then we'll go through these games here. I'll just do a little quick through. Not a lot of games interest me. This Chargers-Chiefs games could get interesting. This Sunday night game will be interesting. And I don't even want to talk about Monday night. I'm sorry.
Minnesota's
now, I will say, if CMC doesn't... Well, I think CMC is on track to play, but...
Wait, just start your 49ers players. Unless the defense decides to play like they did against Chicago, which I don't expect that. But
now look at this. Like, gross. Packers Broncos. Who wants to watch that?
Tom Grossi.
I don't know if I like any of these matchups. I like the Lions and Ravens game. That's going to be a huge game. Ravens leading the division, and
Lions take on what people consider to be a top 10 quarterback for the first time this season, since Mahomes. So shall be interesting. Raiders Bears might be the worst game this week. Aiden O'Connell taking in for Jimmy Garoppolo, and Justin Fields. Falcons Bucks could be interesting. Could be a little defensive battle down there. Steelers Rams will Matt Canada have finally discovered a pro style offense.
It's a good one.
Cardinals Seahawks. Could the Cardinals upset the Seattle Seahawks? Packers Broncos. This is probably the best chance the Broncos have of winning a football game for a while. So hopefully they do that because I would love to see the Packers lose to the Broncos. Chargers Chief is always interesting. That's probably going to be a 42-37 football game, with the Chiefs somehow managing to pull it out. Getting McCole Hardman back on the squad, so it'll be interesting as how much they utilize him. And then Dolphins Eagles definitely going to be game of the week for sure. high-powered offense versus the Eagles' defense. And then you got the Eagles' offense trying to rebound from that disappointing game in New York, or I should say New Jersey.
Yeah, what was it? Just McCole Hartman for a pick
or something?
like a late round pick?
Yeah, I think so. Some dirt cheap like that. But I think it's a good move by the Chiefs. They bring in a guy that Mahomes already has chemistry with and knows the system pretty well. So I think they'll utilize him a lot. They definitely need another outside threat, and he definitely does have the potential to be the true number one wide receiver there in Kansas City.
Yep. Tyreek Hill on track for 2,000 yards, like he said he would do.
He won't reach it. It's just not going to happen.
Eventually, though, he'll have a game where it's not worth it. But okay. Well, that's all I have. Unless you boys have anything. This is TC Sports, and I'm Jacob Butzine alongside Aaron Klinker, Andrew Schultz, and the Big Phil Fathman. Phil, play us out of here. I'm gonna play Rocket League. I like to play Rocket League. Michigan's gonna beat Michigan State really bad. And State might snap Ohio State in Columbus. The toilet seat.